my fellow makeup enthusiasts. Welcome back to my perfectly healthy expression of makeup enthusiasm. My name is Lainey, and I can honestly say that I have never been this pumped to talk about a new makeup release. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Urban Decay collection called For the Throne. That's right, Urban Decay, my darling makeup husband, and Game of Thrones, one of my absolute favorite shows on television and one of my absolute favorite book series. I'm talking about A Song of Ice and Fire there. Those two are coming together and bringing us makeup. Now, in all likelihood, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed by this collection. I say that because I feel like the collection is going to be very dark. And I think that that's appropriate for Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones is very dark, both cinematically and thematically. So I don't mind that, but I don't think that a lot of the shades in that collection are going to be super wearable for someone with my taste and my skin tone and just my style. So I think that that's going to be a little bit of a disappointment. And I also feel like my expectations are up here. And so just by virtue of high expectations, it's probably going to disappoint me just a tiny bit, or maybe it'll surprise me and blow me away. But before anything is announced, I mean, the collection itself has been announced, but nothing has been revealed. We don't know the shade names. We haven't seen the packaging. We don't know what kinds of products are going to be included in the collection. So before any of that information is out there, I want to do a wish list video. This is my dream. This is my vision of the Game of Thrones Urban Decay collection. And I'm going to start off reading you guys the shade names that I came up with. I'm pretty proud of these, and I think that these would be great names for a variety of different products. These names are just general names that I want to see in the collection. I don't care what product bears this name. As we get further into the video, I do have some very specific products and some very specific names, but right now, I'm just gonna read you the names that I came up with. The first one is Harpy. I would love to see a burnt gold shade called Harpy. I don't care what it is, but Harpy, I think that we need a shade named Imp. I don't care what it is, but we need an imp in this collection. And third, I want a shade called Reek. I mean, Urban Decay is famous for naming shades some things that sound kind of disgusting, like mildew and roach. So why not Reek? I will be over the moon excited if we get a shade called Reek. And then going a little bit further, I would like a shade called Cock Merchant.
The dwarf lives until we find a cock merchant.
Does anybody remember that episode? I mean, it blew up the internet when it first came out. I have a t-shirt. I didn't wear it today. I should have worn it today, damn it. But I have a t-shirt that says Marine Cock Merchants, and I love that shirt. I don't care, again, I don't care what the product is, but I want to see a shade called Cock Merchant. And I think for the book readers out there, we need a shade called Lady Stoneheart. I mean, obviously that would be a gray or maybe a silver, but we need that shade in our lives. And I want a shade called Fuck the King. I want it. It needs to be like a purple in honor of the purple wedding. Oh, and by the way, I should have said this at the very beginning. There will be spoilers. So if you're not very far into Game of Thrones and you plan on watching it through the end, maybe skip this video. Yeah, because I'm going to spoil it. So Fuck the King in honor of the purple wedding where Joffrey Baratheon got his comeuppance. I would love to see a shade called Red Waste. I just think that that would be a cool shade name. I would love to see a shade called Leaf. I love that character. I've thought about cosplaying that character. It's just, it would take a lot of work, so I haven't had the time or the energy to put together that costume, but one of these days, mark my words. I think that we need a shade called Twincest. Now, I feel like Twincest is a shade that I would see from Too Faced, but I think Urban Decay could pull it off. But yeah, we need Twincest because that's a big part of the Game of Thrones plot. This is good. I mean, Urban Decay should hire me because this is so genius. We need a transforming shade, like the ones that were in the Distortion palette. We need a transforming, one of those toppers that transforms the shade, and the shade name needs to be No One. That's brilliant. Don't lie, that is good. And finally, last but very, very, very importantly, we need a shade called Wildfire. Greens are big this year. That shade needs to be in the collection. I will be very disappointed if a shade called Wildfire is not in the Game of Thrones collection. Getting more specific with these product ideas, I think that we need a lip collection, like a little 5-6 pack of lip shades, and it needs to be whore lipsticks. Now, I know that they probably won't call it whore lipsticks. They could call it like the brothel collection or something, but the shades in that collection should be Roz, one of my favorite characters, a character that I have cosplayed before. We need a shade called Shay, and then I think that we need a shade called Littlefinger. No, we need a nail polish called Littlefinger. Urban Decay used to make nail polish. Would that not be a perfect name for a nail polish? So bring us a nail polish called Littlefinger. But I think for a lip shade, I think Baelish sounds better for a lip shade. And then I think Molestown would be a good shade, you know, some kind of a brown lipstick. I don't wear them, but I know that a lot of people do like them. So Molestown needs to be in the whore collection as a brown lipstick. And then I think that the patrons, the Johns that frequent the brothels need to have their day in the sun. I'm thinking like the High Septon, no, that's not a really good shade, but then I thought about this scene, and we need a little duo, maybe like a liner and a lipstick called Oberon and Oliver. So, and that needs to be marketed towards men. So we need to be inclusive and acknowledge that lots of men wear makeup, and so we need an Oberon and Oliver duo as part of the whore lipstick collection. And speaking of men and makeup, we need a guy liner, specifically marketed towards men. We need something called guy liner, and the shade name needs to be Greyjoy, in honor of Euron Greyjoy's unique ability to rock the sexy guy liner, even though he is a disgusting excuse for a human being.
Advice? Does she like it gentle or rough? The finger in the bum.
You know, guy liner needs to be mainstream. If more men wore guy liner, I might actually date. Lip shades not included in the brothel collection. This is a big one. I am proud of this one. This needs to be in the collection. We need a blue lipstick called Shade of the Evening. You know, the shit that the warlocks drink that turns their lips blue and their minds soft? So much so that they actually believe that their parlor tricks are real. We need a blue lipstick called Shade of the Evening in this collection. And the next one is at the tippy top of my wish list. We need maybe a gloss called The Long Goodbye. When I saw that episode where Cersei kissed Tyene in the dungeon, that lipstick that she had on was so pretty. That color was so pretty. To me, I liked it so much that I spent quite a bit of time after I saw that episode trying to recreate that color by combining some lipsticks and lip glosses. We definitely need a lip gloss called The Long Goodbye. And then finally, this is out there, and maybe I'm stretching a little bit, but I really want a lip shade called Cat's Paw that is inspired by the ruby on the Cat's Paw dagger. I just like the name Cat's Paw, and I was thinking, what color should that be? What kind of product should that be? And so then I thought, ruby red lipstick, perfect. Moving on to highlighters. I think that they should just take the shade Fireball, already a really popular shade, package it in some kind of scaly packaging, and call it Dracarys.
Dracarys.
I would buy that. I like the shade, I don't have it, and I would totally buy it. Not just for the packaging, but also because I like the shade, but also for the packaging. You know what I mean. And then, another one that I'm super proud of. We need a liquid gold highlighter called a Crown for a King.
A crown for a king.
Finally, and just go with me on this, trust me, just go with me. We need like a marbled highlighter that's mostly pearly white with some like red veining going through it. And that would be a reference to the scene in the books where the children of the forest gave Bran the paste. If you read the books, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link the video below. It's called Jojen paste. So we could call the shade Jojen paste, or we could call it Weirwood paste. So Bran's eating this paste as he's becoming the three-eyed raven. It's before he fully becomes the three-eyed raven. But he says that it tastes disgusting at first, and then as the more he eats, the more he likes it. And then there's some implication that the paste is Jojen Reed. So it's super creepy. I love that shit. And I think that we need a highlighter. I want to call it Jojen paste. I think that the book readers and the hardcore Game of Thrones dorks would appreciate that so very much. I know that I would. Finally, the crowning jewel of any makeup collection is going to be the eyeshadow palette. And I think we need a couple of eyeshadow palettes in this collection. First of all, I want to see a quad of dragon shadows. And what inspired this idea is actually the Linda Hallberg Metallic Mysteries 2 palette, this one right here. And I know, it's Linda Hallberg. Is that even right? I don't know. I watch videos from Angelica and Paulina, and they pronounce her name so beautifully. And then I'm over here being all American, going like, Linda Hallberg. Yeah, just ignore that. This is what inspired the idea. I think that we could basically use similar shades and call it Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. But then instead of that bronzy shade, I would put Fireball in there and call it Dracarys. So that would be a perfect dragon quad. And then I want to see a 7-pointed star palette. Now, the shade names would obviously be Father, Smith, Warrior, Mother, Maiden, Crone, Stranger, and I'm not sure what colors they should be. Maybe blue for Father, and I think I say that just because my dad's favorite color is blue, and he used to work in a chemical plant, and so he always wore blues, the Nomex coveralls. So I think of blue when I think of Father. So Father needs to be blue. Smith, definitely a gunmetal, one of my favorite shades in the world. Gunmetal, Smith, that needs to happen. Warrior, I think of Warrior, and I think of the Field of Fire 2.0 when Bronn says to Dickon.
Men shit themselves when they die. Didn't they teach you that at fancy lad school?
So I think that it needs to be like a brown with a little bit of a red tint, so a brownish red for shit and blood on the battlefield. So Warrior needs to be a shit brown blood shade. And then Mother, I'm thinking, I'm influenced by the Kat Von D lipstick, so it needs to be like a pinky purple. It doesn't need to be. I don't know what that needs to be. I feel like a happy coral color needs to be the shade, the Maiden shade. And then Crone, fuck if I know. Maybe like a boring color. Maybe like white or gray or grayish white, like old lady hair. I don't know. But Stranger, I think that the obvious answer for Stranger, because Stranger represents death, is black. But I think like a dark gray would be nice for Stranger. I don't care. I just want a 7-pointed star palette. I really don't care what the shades are. And finally, this is a reach. And that was a pun, but I really want to see a Highgarden palette. There are 2 reasons for this. Number 1, I like bright colors. They don't necessarily have to be super bold colors, but they have to be bright. And that's what I think this collection is going to be lacking. But if we did a Highgarden palette, we could get some nice corals, some pretty pinks, some soft greens. And I think it would be glorious because Urban Decay does those shades very, very well. They just haven't been doing them lately. I want them to bring those back. But the second reason I really want to see a Highgarden palette is because I'm a Tyrell. I admit that. I am the only person I know who admits to being a Tyrell. I am so much a Tyrell that I have their sigil as a decal on my car. So I want to know from you guys, what is your house on Game of Thrones? Would you be a Stark, a Lannister, a Targaryen, one of the supporting houses? Because for me, Tyrell all the way. Do we have any other Tyrells out there? Hit a girl up. So that wraps it up for today. As always, thank you so very much for stopping by and watching. Follow me on Instagram. I will follow you back. Throw me a pity like. Give me some encouragement to make some more videos. Very special shout out to you if you are watching this video on the toilet. And until next time, stay adorably obsessed with makeup and with Game of Thrones if that applies to you.